Hello and welcome to Hope for Today. I'm glad you're going to be a part of this time together because I want you to have hope about relationships, and relationships can span your whole life. It takes a little cultivation, it takes some backstory, history, but there's hope for relationships. And so this relationship I have with my guest today, Liz Catlin, it goes back to when I was 13, and that I did the math. That's 46 years. So I have had Liz as a friend. So welcome, Liz. Glad to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, we're a lot different than we were in junior high, but then when we talk, not so different.
Oh, is that scary though?
I don't know. I think it's kind of endearing.
Yes.
Where you can have friends and just pick up where you left off.
Most definitely.
Because it was a good friendship.
Right. It
was a lot of fun. I would say the basis of our friendship was laughter.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And that's the scripture says a merry heart does good like medicine.
Mm.
So if you want to have a merry heart and you can't make yourself glad, like the Apostle Paul said, I think myself happy, make sure you have friends around you who can make you laugh, that can put cheer into your life. Well, it's been 46 years since I've known Liz. Liz was at my wedding. There's been some big parts of my life. We kept through each other. I was in your wedding.
You were our best man.
Best man in your wedding. And so her husband is Tracy, great guy. Yeah. Tell me about your family.
Okay. First of all, he goes by Trace now.
Trace now, yeah.
Yeah.
I did
it's
see
funny.
that.
Everybody always says that. Why is it Trace? And I said, we got married. We've been married 41 years. And it was like in that first year, it was like I just started calling him Trace for short.
Right.
And it stuck. And so, yeah.
I think he will always be Tracy to me.
And several people.
Yes.
Yeah, he's always. Yeah, but our family, wow. Well, Trace and I have been married 41 years, and we went off to school together as well.
Right.
And then we have 2 children. We have like I said, almost gulped earlier when you asked how old he is. He's almost 40. Our son, Catlin, daughter, Kristen, 6 grandkids. And 2 that I say I birthed 2 children and God gave me 2 more. So my son-in-law and my daughter-in-law.
Okay.
They're as much mine as my 2 are.
That's good. Well, let's talk about relationships, friendships, because a lot of people say they have friends, but when it comes down to it, they're kind of friendless. It seems that a lot of people's relationships are real surface.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. So
Facebook.
Yeah.
That's what Facebook portrays, right? You've got 1,000 friends. No,
Right.
you don't.
Right.
No, you don't.
It's kind of like I heard some movie, I think it was Elizabeth Taylor, said, "There's 2 things I hate about you." And the lady said, "What?" And she said, "Your faces." So I think Facebook is just another face.
Most definitely.
So
most
it's
definitely.
not real.
Right.
So how do you cultivate real friendships and relationships?
My whole thing is, am I in their life and are they in my life?
Okay.
This sounds horrible, but do I care about what's going on in your life? Obviously, I care about everyone's life, but are you someone that I truly care about what's going on in your life? And really, am I praying for you?
Right.
Am I praying for your family? We had this discussion.
Yes.
And is it something about your family or about you that has touched my heart and God's created this this working relationship? Maybe that's what it is. You have all these people on Facebook and it's not a working relationship.
Right.
You don't even know what's going on in their lives, and you always put your best face forward on Facebook.
Exactly.
So you really don't know. But if it's somebody that I truly care about and someone that I am taking to the Lord in prayer during my prayer time, that's a friendship to me.
Okay. And you have a lot of friends. You work with a group of ladies that do the She Will conference. Tell me about that.
She Will conference is amazing. Anytime you can have 15 women together and we get along, that's a God thing.
Yeah.
When you all travel together and you're in a house together, the last conference we did, 15 women and 2.5 bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
And we all made it to the conference on time. That's a God thing. And so it's been incredible. Different personalities, very diverse. It's just a lot of fun. But everyone brings something different to the table, Holy Spirit wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the mesh of it is incredible.
Right. That's cool. Well, you like to make new relationships through new converts. So you and your husband, Trace, are involved in the launch. Talk to me about the launch.
So the launch Burn It, and we now have the launch Llano that we're working on.
Those are 2 towns in Texas.
It's 2 towns in Texas, and we have a restaurant in both of those towns. And so,
What kind of food?
mom and pop food. Most of the
Okay.
recipes were my grandma's.
Oh, good.
And so, yeah, you knew my grandma, so
Yes,
you're kind
I
of
did.
familiar with that. But we started this ministry, and I constantly say it's not a church. It's not a church. It's a ministry. And we started it because when God moved us to Burnett for a mission field, Burnett is the meth capital of Texas. And so we have a lot of employees, especially in the early days, that were either coming off meth, were on meth, they were felons or whatever, and they would not go into a church for whatever reason. Maybe they were embarrassed, or maybe they felt like they were just lost at whatever. One of them said, I went into it and they were talking about a building project. What's a building project? And they had the thermometer,
Right.
And so they were just completely lost. And so they wouldn't go into a church. Many of them would the only times they'd been into a church was for a funeral or a wedding.
Right.
And so we started this ministry for them to come in, and it would start in January, and we'd start basic with, how do I know God's real? Why is Jesus the only way? How do I know the Bible's true? And because of technology being so amazing, we were able to show sermon series from different pastors on, okay, this one has a great message on how do I know Jesus is real. And then we do worship the same way. And every month it was a different subject. And by the end of the year, when we finished it, we would launch them into a church that's in our area that suits their needs.
Oh, that's neat.
So like if they had teenagers and they needed a church that had a strong
Right.
youth group or whatever. So that's how that started.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then you guys have started a church too.
We didn't start a church. My son and daughter-in-law,
Okay.
God called them to Burnett to plant
so
a
they
church, which
started
was
the church.
hilarious because they were like, we're never moving to small town Texas.
And this
ever.
is Relentless Church.
Relentless Church Burnett.
Okay, and your son's
Yes.
a pastor.
Yes.
Well, that's really cool. So tell me about the future. What are your plans?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I know what we are kind of doing, but God keeps saying, dream bigger.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. I told him the other day, Chelsea, who it's Lynn Ministry, has the She Will, Chelsea Becker. She and I do a radio program, and then I have a radio program that I do on my own. And we, it's international. As a matter of fact, we laugh because one of our things that it shows that who views us is from Thailand. And I said, I don't know who's listening to us in Thailand. I think they just think these two Texas women with these accents.
Right.
Let's listen to them. But I told the Lord, I said, I don't know how to dream bigger. You've got me traveling all around the country with She Will. You've got me doing these radio shows. What does dream bigger mean? So I'm not sure. One of the things he has shown me lately is testimony, testimony, testimony. Everywhere I go, they're talking about testimony. And so we are starting something in August at both restaurants that's going to be called Testimony Tuesday. And it's dinner. And whomever wants to come, you come. We have dinner, and we just talk about what God's done for us since the last time that we were together. And I got that from actually a Bill Johnson sermon where he was talking about, he was sitting at a restaurant and their table was talking about testimonies. And he said, you felt the atmosphere shift. Yeah. And he said, what would it be like if every week somebody came into the restaurant with a group of people and just started telling their testimony? You'd feel the whole atmosphere shift. And I'm thinking, I own 2 restaurants and I need the atmosphere to shift.
Right.
So that's what we're going to start doing.
I like that. I was in Las Vegas last week working on Transformation for Las Vegas. Invited the major worship leaders together and brought Mike Coleman. He was the co-founder of Integrity Hosanna Music. And he did a little exercise with us. He said, break into small groups. Before you do anything else today, talk about what's going good in your life. Just talk about it.
Yeah.
He said, let's just focus on the good things,
Right.
the good way things are going, what we're happy with. And after we finished, he goes, doesn't the room feel better now? He goes, now I can speak to you guys.
Oh,
because
I love that.
I needed to clear the air. But positivity raises the temperature. I mean, it makes everything better. So I like that. Testimony Tuesday.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at your life and you're saying, my life's a mess, my life's horrible, there's never a testimony without a test.
That's right.
So you're just walking through a test right now.
That's right.
You're building a strong testimony. We both have strong testimonies from stupid. That's what makes a testimony.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
Usually, the testimonies, if I hear people say, I never did this, this, and this, I'm like, well, tell me what you did, though.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you hiding?
Right. How did God move your mountains?
I know you did something. I know something happened.
Yeah.
And I think we're in a place in life now where people are getting comfortable just telling their stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just
and it took me a while.
Did it?
Because I hate the word transparency.
Okay.
I really hate the word vulnerability because, I mean, that's just laying it out there.
Right.
But like you said, you can't have a testimony without a test. And you can't share your witness and your testimony unless you're vulnerable.
Right.
Oh, I'm terrible at that. In a good way, though, I guess, because Chelsea's like, you just tell everything. And I'm like, when God said tell it, he said tell it. So now, but.
So you're writing a book too. I love the title.
Yes. I'm writing a book about my life. And it's not about my life because my life's not that interesting. It's about what God did with my life.
So tell us the title. I find it interesting.
The title is called Living on the Fringes of White Trash.
Okay.
God's faithfulness in dysfunction. That's the subtitle, because he was definitely faithful in my dysfunction. And so, yes, I am doing that one. And then I have one coming out in the fall that's it's a devotional, and it's 31 days of spiritual warfare.
Okay.
Yeah, because
that's great.
I'm very big on spiritual warfare because of the dysfunction that we spoke of. I need to be good in the spiritual warfare.
Well, we were raised in Houston, south of Houston, and the home you were raised in was a lot different than my home, but it's interesting. We kind of ended up doing the same things.
Yeah.
But I think even the education we had, the school kind of prepared us weirdly enough to do what we're doing.
Most definitely. But your home, though, prepared me a lot too.
Okay.
Because I didn't grow up in a Christian home.
Right.
My grandparents that raised me were very moral people, but they weren't believers until right before they both passed away. And so your family was the first family I knew that I could say, oh, these are people that are actually living what we're being taught.
Yeah.
And so,
that's cool.
Yeah, that was your mom and dad. Well, as a matter of fact, your dad married my husband and I. He dedicated both my babies, and he did the funeral services for both my parents and my grandparents. So,
that's cool. And baptized your grandma.
And baptized my grandma.
Right before she passed. So that's really cool. I got to tell one funny story. You'll remember this when I start talking about it. Liz, to get to school, had to drive through a tunnel.
Yes.
And she, back in this was 70s, I guess.
Yeah, late 70s, early
70s. Heavy mascara was in.
Yeah.
Like really
because now
heavy.
They just do the false eyelashes.
This was like caked on mascara.
Yeah.
And so one day, she had a bad habit. And back then we had we do all kind of stuff driving. I mean, but she would put her makeup on as she's driving on the way to school.
It was a 30-minute drive.
Yeah. So she got in the tunnel and started sneezing, and had just put her mascara on, and her eyes got stuck in the tunnel.
Together.
Yeah, together.
Like boop. Yeah, like together.
I love that story.
Yes, and I'm like, do I stop in the middle of the tunnel? I can't see.
And the thing about Liz is she wasn't an exaggerator. If she said it happened. Just funny stuff would happen to you.
So you could see it.
In
your mind, you could see it. This really happened.
Yeah, like funny stuff would happen to her. So I assume that's still going on in your life.
It is. Yeah. It is. Yes, it is. And because God's brought more people into my life.
Right.
I told you that my whole family lives on our ranch because my husband prayed them all here. Still not sure how I feel about that. I love them, but I had a great 3-hour buffer between Burnett and Houston. But now it's, But yes, it's always kind of crazy stuff that goes on in my house.
That's cool. Well, let's talk about, you said God is telling you to dream bigger, because I think that probably piques some interest of people.
Mine too.
Yeah, like dream bigger. What does that mean? And Sunday morning, I spoke on vision, and I did an acrostic, VISION. The letter O was overweight, the weighty presence of God, which in Hebrew is kabod. And I think when we get a dream, they're heavy. They're bigger than we can imagine.
Most definitely.
And a lot of times we push them away because we think, I can't do that. So let's go back, like, let's say 30 years ago, 35 years ago. If someone would have told you that you'd be traveling nationally with a group of women, with you being transparent about your life, laying it all out there, that you have a ministry, that you have 2 restaurants, that your son and daughter-in-law are leading a church and you're helping with that, that you have these radio programs, you're writing a book about being on the fringes of white trash. I mean, all of that would have kind of been weighty, wouldn't it?
It would have all been weighty, but I would have said, I believe you.
Okay.
Because God is faithful to his promise.
Yes, he is.
And I remember being in the 10th grade and God telling me, you're to be in ministry. And I didn't know what that looked like. And so I've always known that God had a call on my life. I didn't know what it looked like. So even if you would have told me all these weighty issues, and what's really funny is weighty is my word of the year. That's the word that Holy Spirit's just put on me about things in the Spirit. I would have definitely said, I can still see that.
Well,
I would have been terrified, but I would have still seen it.
So you know me and you know I'm prophetic. So I'm going to throw the big dream part.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't know what portion of it or how many of them, but She Will's going to go international. And I don't know if y'all already talked about that, but that's part of the dream. And the big part of it is it gets quite expensive to do international ministry. I mean, but what I like about the ministry that you guys do, they go into churches and they just say, we don't want anything. Well, we're going to bless you guys, but you kind of pay your way and do
Every
your own
woman
thing.
pays her own way.
It's
we
really
say
incredible.
We're all tent makers.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
incredible.
we're all tent makers.
So as the doors to the nations open, it's going to be exciting to watch God provide for you guys. And that's, I think that's one of the next steps of the big dreaming and pulling your family in. And then I see you personally even doing some things on your own internationally. So
that does make me nervous, but I'm a boat jumper.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So if you're out there waiting for your dream, you know, what is it? It's going to be bigger than you. If it's not bigger than you and it doesn't catch your breath like, what? Then it's probably a good dream, but not a God dream.
Right.
Because God dreams are bigger than we are. And prophecy, hearing from God, God speaking to us draws us into it.
Right.
And we're not begging God to come help us make our dream happen.
Right.
I've done that before.
Right.
That doesn't work.
No,
you ever played that game?
That doesn't work. Yeah. Well, and if it's not bigger than you, then you don't need God. Yeah, you don't need God for it. And so
well,
it's
you
not
do
a
at the
God
end because it's not working.
Exactly. Get me out of this.
Like,
yes.
God, where
Clean
are
up
you?
my mess.
Yeah, where are you, God?
Yeah.
So it's really important to find the dream of God. So all these things you're doing, you listed a bunch of stuff. They didn't happen in a day.
No, I'm 60 years old. They didn't happen in a day.
You grew into it.
Oh, most definitely.
And so you out there watching or listening, you're growing into who you are. You're growing into the story God has for your life. And hopefully you will continue growing until the day you die. There's I'm not even sure what retirement means anymore.
There's no retirement in the Bible.
I don't
Moses
think so.
didn't retire.
No,
I tell my husband all the time, Moses didn't retire.
You keep doing until you're done.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, God just needs a yes.
Yeah.
You know, he just needs you to give him a yes. And that's where the scary part can get in our fleshly part, is saying yes, and you're not sure what you're saying yes to.
Right.
But when you start to have a history with God and you just see him over and over and over and over provide, or over and over just take care of the situation, whatever it is, the yes becomes a lot easier.
Right.
Because you just trust him with it.
Yeah. Well, it's really cool hearing everything that's happened in your life, and a little bit surreal jumping back to 13 and 14 years of age and remembering conversations and laughter. But again, relationships don't happen in a day either. Yeah. They're fostered. They take time. I mean, we saw each other every day for years. And even through the summers, we talk on the phone, you know, see each other.
And once we started driving.
Yeah. So it's relationships take time. They take a good effort, put it into, but then once they're set, they're set. They're set.
Right. And you use the word cultivating.
Yeah.
You know, you have to cultivate relationships.
Right.
Because it's easy just to let them fall by the wayside.
Right.
And so figure out who it is that God's put in your life. Whether it was 40-something years ago or whether it was yesterday. Figure out, you know, who that person is. Why did God put them in your path? And what are you supposed to do with that?
Yeah. And build on it. So I'm really happy with what you and Trace have done with your lives.
I am now.
Yeah.
Well, you used the word stupid earlier. We've had some stupid years.
Everybody does.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's part of life.
Yeah.
But seeing how life is working for you guys and what you're able to do in your life, it's rewarding. It's fun. And so I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for being a friend.
And I feel the same way. It's kind of like, I was there in the beginning when he was just, you know, figuring out who he was going to be. And that's really cool. Like you said, to see where God took us from point A to point B.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you for being a part of our friendship and hearing our story, Liz. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm looking forward to you going international.
Let's just keep praying that.
Well, here we are.
I'm looking forward to it as well.
We're talking to the nations right now.
This is true. This is true.
Where would be the first nation you would like to go to in ministry?
Oh, in ministry. In ministry. I don't even know. Probably Thailand.
Thailand? Okay.
You know, I have a friend of mine that was a missionary there for years. And so the whole time she was
Somebody's
there.
watching you in Thailand.
Yeah, right. And there's somebody watching me. But she was a missionary there for years. And so my heart's always prayed for Thailand.
Right.
So yeah, I think
Okay.
Thailand. Yeah.
Look out, Thailand. Here she comes. That'll be great.
Yeah. Right. For the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's all going to be good.
Yes, it is.
Well, thanks for being a part of this today. And I hope we have instilled some hope in you.
Yes.
Work on those friendships, work on those relationships, get beyond Facebook, get face to face,
Please do.
and be real. Thanks for being a part of this today.